So I'm making this video to hopefully help somebody else out in the future. So what we have here is a 2009 GSXR 600. It was brought to me with the engine out and just a rolling chassis. The problem was water in the oil. So the backstory was a couple of my friends went in on halves to buy this bike as a endurance track bike. They bought it from a girl who had it sitting in her garage for a couple years, never really rode it. She bought it from somebody else. They got the bike, it ran poorly, so they put in a new water pump, cleaned out the tank, or not water pump, but fuel pump, cleaned out the tank. It ran great. They took it out for the first track day, everything was good. Took it out for an endurance race, and there was a low side. It was, I say, significant because it had a frame slider on right here, and it broke the bolt. As you can see, we have some engine case damage here, but not all of that was done. We have some frame damage here. He said it wasn't a violent low side. After that, they got the bike back on the track. He ran it for 15 minutes, then ran it for a 15-minute session, came off the track, let it cool down, went back on the track, and it started running poorly. So they came off, and that's when they found that they had water in the oil. So they did some research, and 99% of everything that you read out there with water in the oil is going to come back either a head gasket or a water pump. So they pulled the motor out, they replaced the head gasket. The old head gasket showed no signs of anything being blown, but they put the new head gasket in. Then he brought everything over to me, and we sat for the last 2 days and worked on it. We rebuilt the water pump, which is hanging out down there. You can see all the water in the oil still. We rebuilt the water pump, put the engine back in the bike, and hooked everything up, went to start it, and we could get it started, but it was not running right. Not right at all. Checked the timing. They had the cam gears off a couple teeth, so we fixed that. No big deal. Put it all back together, fire it up, runs great, ran crisp. So then we went to mounting the radiator and putting water in it. And upon doing that, we noticed that we immediately got water back in the oil. So the head gasket was replaced, the water pump was rebuilt, put new seals in it, and immediately got water back in the oil to the point to where it filled the crankcase up. As you can see, we drained it out now, and as it sits now, the bike is not fixed. I have a feeling, I have a hunch of what it is, but if I pour water in here, fill the radiator up, and just let it sit, don't do anything, we get water, oh, that was my knees, coming out of the oil pan. So there's a direct passage with nothing hot, nothing under pressure, just pours out the oil pan. Did some research, looking up a couple things, and I found out that there are freeze plugs under the cams in the head. My theory as of right now was, with all the pieces of the puzzle that I got and was told, bike sat for 2 years in somebody's garage. It's a track bike. Tracks do not allow antifreeze. So I'm willing to bet that it got cold enough for the water to expand and slightly push out one of the freeze plugs. And then when the low side happened, I'm willing to bet that knocked it out. And that's what got us water in the oil. So he's coming back over today. We're going to rip the top of it off, see if we can't figure it out. Like I said, the bike is not fixed right now, but we're going to tear into it and see if that's the case. If so, I will add it to this video, and we'll see where it goes. Stay tuned. Okay, it's a few hours later. We've got throttle bodies off, cams out, and what we have found, like I suspected, it's not popped out, but I don't know if we can get down here and see it or not. But this freeze plug has got a hole in it. Right there. And the fun part is, you cannot buy these. We cannot get these from Suzuki. They're not on any parts fish. So we're just trying to figure it out. But this is more of a, if you're getting water in the oil and it's not the other two culprits, look at your freeze plugs. There's one over there, there's one in the center, and there's one on this end, somewhere in all that mess. I hope this helps somebody. So today is tomorrow, and we've got the old plug out. And we went around and looked and looked and looked for freeze plugs. Apparently Suzuki does have a part number for these, but they charge you $1,400 and it comes installed in a new head. So that was out. We went to all the auto parts stores, took the old freeze plug, tried to match something up, couldn't find anything. So being the cheap asses that we are, jumped on my lathe with a piece of steel and I turned a new freeze plug. Now I just did this as an example to show the piece of steel. And the reason why I used a piece of steel is because the old freeze plug is magnetic, which means steel. So I machined it out, do it in the freezer for a couple hours, came in, took a torch, heated up the aluminum, liberal application of anaerobic sealer, aka Loctite, socket and an extension, and drove it in. Now to see if this solves the problem. Hope this helps somebody out there. So after flushing the oil, flushing the coolant, we finally got it back together. It's sleeting. We've got it up to temp. It's got it up to 200 or so. And here he is in the rain, come back from test drive. Looks like our plug is holding. Now to check the oil, see if there's water.